Coming up next on KYOU, news for you at 10. It's the third day of the election. No new states declared on either side as ballots are counted in the few states remaining that will determine the victor of this election. What moves both sides have taken and what each candidate is saying to the American people.
Gorgeous weather has been with us, and guess what? Above normal conditions are set to continue, but for how long? We'll show you some of the cooling in the forecast later next week coming up.
Plus, a judge making a ruling in the Kelsey Thomas murder trial after a 5-year-old was found in a closet hung by a pair of pajama pants. These stories and more. It's KYOU News for You at 10 starts right now.
Live from Ottumwa, the news that's important to you. This is KYOU News for You at 10.
Good evening. I'm Eric Monaghan. Votes are still being counted across the country 2 days after the polls have closed. Joe Biden has a slight lead over President Trump in the race for the Electoral College votes, but some of the state tabulation systems are sure to be questioned in court. Alice Barr has more from the White House with our top story.
Good afternoon, folks. We have no doubt that when the count is finished, Senator Harris and I will be declared the winners. So I ask everyone to stay calm, all the people to stay calm. The process is working.
Thank you very much. People, with an update on our efforts to protect the integrity of our very important 2020 election. If you count the legal votes, I easily win. If you count the illegal votes, they can try to steal the election from us.
Give us access! Give us access! Give us!
And the second representative district of Iowa race seems to have stagnated at a 50-50 split, a narrow margin of 282 votes separating Republican Marionette Miller Meeks and Democrat Rita Hart. We received a statement from the Miller Meeks campaign on this lead and how a result could play out in the next few days. An official canvass won't take place until either Monday or Tuesday, when 24 county election boards from across the district will meet. Miller Meeks' campaign is confident she will keep her winning margin. A recount isn't off the table, but would likely come after the canvasses next week. And we have not received a statement from Rita Hart's campaign. However, she has not conceded the race. And vote counting continues across the country, and as we've seen, you have anxious supporters of both candidates out in the streets. Some are demanding the vote counts in immediately. Others insist they should continue until every ballot is tallied. Election officials in some cities are taking extra steps to avoid attempts from protesters to disrupt the counting process. NBC's Chris Pallone reports from Washington.
Whether you voted for Donald Trump or you voted for Joe Biden, everybody has a right to witness what's transpiring here.
In Pennsylvania, every vote is going to count.
And an Ottumwa mother has been found guilty for involuntary manslaughter for the death of her 5-year-old daughter. District Court Judge Lucy Garman has made a ruling in the high-profile case following a 2-week bench trial back in September. Thomas was arrested back in July of 2018 after her daughter, Chloe Chandler, was found dead in a closet. Thomas telling police her daughter had accidentally hung herself with a pair of pajama pants. Sentencing is set for January 4th of next year. And the week of Election Day is generally called to mind cold weather and jackets and that kind of thing, but Southeast Iowa has been experiencing a week of warmer days. We're 5 days into November, yet temperatures here have averaged above the 70s this past week. KYOU caught up with a few people here in Ottumwa who took advantage of the change of weather before it's gone for good.
Well, I'm actually just out here. I'm gonna go to swim practice, but I'm hoping to maybe go longboard a bit afterwards.
We're just enjoying this beautiful
And
evening.
tomorrow it might be warm. Today is warm.
And we saw children playing near the beach at Ottumwa with several people walking around in the sunshine. Even birds were out and about. And now let's hear from meteorologist Joe Winter, who will tell us what to expect in this next few days and see if this warm weather will keep up. Here's your first alert forecast.
No big changes as we head through the next 12 hours. Overnight, we'll drop down once again into those middle 40s. Our mostly clear sky is going to be with us. Translates into sunshine starting our Friday. By noon already with sunshine, dry atmosphere, 69 degrees. Winds are light tomorrow out of the south and west. There's a look at what you need to know. Increasing winds, that'll pick up as we head into the weekend with some higher gusts. And next chance of rain, that moves in as we head into early next week. We'll time that out with Pinpoint Futurecast coming up.
And now let's take a look at the coronavirus numbers here in the county. These are the latest we have from Wapello County officials. Just under 200 active cases in the county with 7 hospitalizations. We're at 1,690 total cases. And in one day, our positivity rate has ticked up over a percentage point and a half to 18.6%. However, the county has stayed at 64 deaths. And Wapello County Public Health has announced they're giving out flu vaccinations to both adults and youth. Previously, they've only been able to give the vaccine to children. All you have to do is schedule a time with them and head to their building at 108 East Main Street. They're asking for a $10 donation when you do. And taking a look at coronavirus numbers in Iowa, Governor Kim Reynolds said today in a press conference that cases are spiking, along with several other Midwestern states. Reynolds said, we're seeing a 14.3% positivity rate with 41,000 cases being reported last month. And during October, hospitalizations rose from 393 to 676. Since the start of the pandemic, 1,803 Iowans have died. And also at today's press conference, we heard from the governor that she would be launching a public awareness campaign focused to push Iowans to continue to mitigate the spread of COVID-19. Reynolds says this will be an extensive media outreach focused in newspapers, radios, and TV stations. By doing this, Reynolds hoped to avoid any further shutdowns.
And I want to tell you too, as I traveled across the state, the number two thing, the two most things that I heard the most often, was please keep my kids in school and keep my business open. You know, it's important that we're able to do that. And so we're going to really make an extensive effort to remind people that they can help us do that. They can be a part of the solution.
And that public awareness campaign is scheduled to launch starting next week. And Centerpoint Church, a ministry of the Salvation Army in Ottumwa, wants your help in rescuing Christmas. As they do every year, the Salvation Army will be deploying red kettles in locations around the city beginning on November 17th. But they're in need of volunteers. Envoys Joel and Ramona Arthur say they're doing everything in their power to make sure that bell ringers are safe amid the pandemic. If you'd like to volunteer, you can sign up at registertoring.com. And coming up next, in the midst of an undecided presidential election, COVID cases, meanwhile, are on a steady rise all across the country. The major political issue, the record-breaking numbers, and the officials' warnings.
Out the door on Friday morning is going to look very similar to what we've seen the past several days. Mostly sunny skies, temperatures in the 40s, up in the 70s for highs. The weekend forecast looking good as well. We'll break it down for you coming up.
You're watching KYOU News for You at 10. And now, First Alert Weather.
Nobody can argue with the results of what we've received for the weather the past several days. It's been very mild. We've seen some sunshine, and we've changed a bit. Certainly, take a look at where we were. We were down in the 40s and 50s as we moved through the end of last week, up in the 60s on Saturday, quickly down to 46 on Sunday. But the past couple of days, and including today, highs once again have been in the 70s. Setup tonight, again, remains virtually unchanged. There's high pressure down toward our south and east that's allowing that southerly airflow to move in. The main storm track well to the north across areas of Canada. That's where we see a storm system bringing some cloudiness across the arrowhead of Minnesota. But here across southern Iowa, northern Missouri, very quiet conditions. Look at the clear skies spreading out. Great Lakes all the way back across the plains. As long as that southerly wind remains in place with sunshine, we still warm up despite the fact that sun angle is getting lower and lower. There's a look at Pinpoint Futurecast. No weather issues at all. Let's just move ahead in time. Watch the clock go as we head through our Friday. Beautiful weather conditions. We head through Friday evening. No problems if you have some plans. And Saturday morning, quiet conditions. By Saturday at noon, it still looks good. The one thing you're noticing change, the wind's becoming a bit stronger as we head into our Saturday, but it still remains out of the south. So I think we'll see some of those breezes. Maybe gusts on Saturday up to 30. Does look like it could be even a little windier as we head into Sunday. Here's a look at our forecast. Overnight, 44 degrees. Southwest winds will be very light. The sky is expected to remain clear. So no weather issues at all. Tomorrow, look at this. Friday, sunny. South winds at 10 to 20. That's a little stronger than we saw today. And again, back around from the south. That in turn will help push that high up near 73 degrees. So beautiful weather conditions upcoming. Let's take a look at the area that's kind of seeing more active weather. We head down toward the Caribbean and take a look at Tropical Depression Eta. And you'll notice that system now beginning to move out of the area. It's going to move back over water. And watch what Eta does. As we head through the weekend, moves across Cuba as a tropical storm, then makes a hard left turn. Northern Cuba just across southern areas of Florida. This could bring Florida for the weekend and early next week especially some very heavy rains. And then as Eta enters the Gulf, we'll have to watch what happens. Could again have some areas that could receive heavy rains and high winds, especially if Eta can strengthen in some of those warm waters. Now our weather over the next 5 days, not showing a lot of change as we move through Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Notice southerly winds, and even into Monday, that wind is still from the south. Strongest Sunday and Monday. That's when we'll see those gusts maybe up to about 35. But the change that's coming is a cold front. Moves through Monday into Tuesday. There's the northwest wind that moves in. 10 to 20 mile per hour wind out of the northwest. You know what that does? It brings down some cooler conditions. But there's hope as well. Although we'll drop to cooler levels right now as we head toward Thanksgiving week, we're starting to see some indication of some milder and a little bit more active weather across the area. So what we're seeing right now, mild weather. It might be just in the 60s, but still pretty nice. The 70s, though, are with us through the weekend. How about some lower 70s, lows in the 50s, 60 degrees, that low on Monday, because we're starting off very, very mild, high of 74. Veterans Day is Wednesday. Then we drop down, highs in the 50s, overnight lows down in the 20s and 30s. That's a complete look at our 7-day forecast. Eric, back to you.
Welcome back. I'm Eric Monaghan. With the country focused on the election and an unprecedented surge in COVID cases for the first time, topping 100,000 infections in one day. Hospitals reaching their limits and new restrictions could be possible. Here's Miguel Almaguer.
It's no surprise to doctors fighting to save lives. In just one day, more than 109,000 Americans testing positive for COVID. Cases are skyrocketing everywhere, more than a dozen states shattering previous daily records. Barbara Gould was a different person before spending 91 days battling COVID in a Colorado hospital. With Colorado hitting its highest number of hospitalizations ever, nurse practitioner Kim Powell is finally out of the ICU. In New Mexico, where the state surpassed 1,000 deaths, they remember the victims and the heroes. After catching COVID in October, Dr. Juan Fitz died in the very hospital where he saved lives. The ER doctor pleaded with the public to wear a mask, but on the very day the country voted to decide its future, he would lose his life. Miguel Almaguer, NBC News.
And the judge in the George Floyd case announced several decisions today. Judge Peter Cahill ruled the trial against the 4 police officers charged in Floyd's death will proceed in Hennepin County, Minnesota. The rule is a blow to the defense, which requested a change of venue. Judge Cahill approved the state's request for the officers to be tried together. Chauvin was seen in videos kneeling on Floyd's neck for nearly 8 minutes on May 25th, while Floyd told officers he couldn't breathe. Chauvin is charged with second-degree unintentional murder and second-degree manslaughter in Floyd's death. The others are each charged with aiding and abetting second-degree murder or manslaughter. And the judge also ruled that cameras will be allowed inside the courtroom, and the jurors in the case will be anonymous and partially sequestered. That means the jury can return home in the evening during the trial, but they will be fully sequestered during deliberations. The trial has been set for March 8th. And the U.S. has just become the first country to officially exit the Paris Climate Accord, the landmark agreement between 189 countries to protect the planet. This is the moment the final draft was announced back in 2015. All the world's other major superpowers and top greenhouse gas emitters, including China, India, the European Union, the UK, Japan, Russia, and Brazil, are all still part of the agreement. Under its terms, a country can't leave the agreement until 1 year after signaling plans to withdraw. Wednesday marked a year to the day the U.S. said it wanted out. However, if Joe Biden wins the election, he tweeted out today that a Biden administration would rejoin it. And Tropical Depression Eta continues its route towards the U.S., and it's still a threat in Central America. The system continues to cause heavy flooding. Honduras, Guatemala, and Belize could see nearly 30 inches of rain. Other nearby countries could see 20 inches or more. Eta made landfall Tuesday on the Nicaraguan coast as a Category 4 hurricane. At least 1 person has died in Honduras and 4 in Guatemala due to the storm. And it is predicted to hit Cuba on Sunday and near Florida on Monday afternoon. And coming up next, the latest unemployment numbers as coronavirus begins a surge across the nation. This is KYOU, News for You at 10.
From Ottumwa, you're watching News for You at 10. Available anytime on KYOUTV.com.
Welcome back. I'm Eric Monaghan. Regardless of who ultimately wins the presidency, the next president will have to deal with America's massive unemployment problem. Another 751,000 Americans claimed first-time jobless benefits last week on a seasonally adjusted basis. That's according to the Labor Department's report that came out today. The number is down slightly from last week. But meanwhile, continued jobless claims, which count workers who have applied for benefits for at least 2 weeks in a row, came in at 7.3 million. Now that's down by about 500,000 from the prior week. And while it is an improvement, economists had expected a slightly more encouraging report. And 3 iconic toys have been inducted into the Toy Hall of Fame. Baby Nancy, the first black doll to have an afro and dark skin. The groundbreaking doll was launched nationwide in 1968, and the toy is credited with making cultural and commercial breakthroughs in the U.S. Sidewalk Chalk was also inducted. Great masterpieces have been created on sidewalks all over the world because of these things. People use the chalk to play games outside, such as tic-tac-toe, hopscotch, and Foursquare. And last but not least, Jenga was the third of those toys to be inducted. According to the manufacturer, the wooden block game was created in Ghana in the 70s. And the record for the highest known Jenga tower is 40 complete stories. And from now until Friday at midnight, hundreds of retailers are offering up to 20% cash back on thousands of items, giving savvy shoppers a chance to check items off those holiday wish lists. Dan Shinneman has the details.
Think all of your favorite stores like UGG Boots, Macy's, Expedia, Best Buy, Forever 21, Amazon, American Eagle. The list really goes on and on.
30% of respondents have already spent money on holiday gifts so far this year. and 75% of them said that they would buy before Black Friday, Cyber Monday.
Take some of that pressure off those stores, reduce some of the crowds.
You want to make sure you're doing your research, you're price comparing to make sure you're really getting the best deal. A couple of minutes searching around could save you an extra couple bucks.
And the Chicago Bears closed their practice facilities today after a COVID-19 scare. We'll have the details coming up. This is KYOU News for You at 10.
And now, KYOU Sports for You.
Welcome back. I'm Eric Monaghan. Major League Baseball handed out the Gold Glove Awards Tuesday, and now we talk about hitters. The Louisville Slugger Silver Slugger Awards go to the best defensive producers at each position in the field in each league, as voted upon by the coaches and managers. Leading the way on the American League side is Mike Trout of the Angels. It's his 8th Silver Slugger in his 10 years. Only Barry Bonds has more as an outfielder. Trout's 17 home runs included this 300th of his career, and he also hit one off Clayton Kershaw of the Dodgers. And speaking of the Dodgers, outfielder Mookie Betts won his 3rd straight and the 4th of his career. His big game was right here on August 13th, hitting 3 home runs in a game against San Diego. His 16 homers was tied for 3rd in the league, and he also claimed his 5th Gold Glove 2 days ago. His trophy case is filling on up. And the Atlanta Braves become the 4th team ever with 4 or more players winning a Silver Slugger award in the same season. The White Sox had 3 players win Silver Sluggers this season: Jimenez, Abreu, and Anderson. And now on to football. The Chicago Bears shut down Hollis Hall today after a player tested positive for COVID-19. The team announced today that it was pausing, quote, all in-person football activities. Practice was canceled and all meetings will be held virtually. ESPN and others are reporting that the player involved is center Cody Whitehair. He immediately went into isolation after learning of the positive diagnosis. Today's news comes on the heels of Jason Spriggs, who also tested positive, and Garmain Ifedi, who was high risk due to close contact, being placed on the COVID-19 reserve list earlier this week. The Bears are scheduled to play the Tennessee Titans Sunday. And November is National Diabetes Awareness Month. This year, the American Diabetes Association's theme is We Stand Greater Than. Mandy Gaither brings us some important information on the disease that's growing in America. And sorry about that, it looks like the audio on that story did not come through. But needless to say, it is Diabetes Awareness Month. So if any of you have diabetes out there, we have you in our thoughts, and we're hoping you are staying safe out there. And we do have a quick note for our viewers before we finally wrap up. Tomorrow from 4 p.m. to 4:30, all KYOU channels will be off the air for scheduled maintenance. We hope to get the work done quickly and get those channels back on air within that time. But for now, thank you for joining us for KYOU News for You at 10. We'll see you right back here tomorrow. Until then, for news and the latest First Alert forecast 24 hours a day, like our Facebook page, follow us on Twitter, and visit our website, KYOUTV.com. Have a wonderful night.